everyone. Welcome to Filmcopath. Hope you are doing well and keeping safe. Today, to share our love of cinema, we have with us Mr. Rahul Desai. Rahul is one of our favorite film critics who has been writing about cinema spanning many years now, including that in Mumbai Mirror, Catch News, The Hindu, and The Film Companion. Rahul's essays on cinema and his film reviews have been an inspiration for us for a long time. On top of being a cinema enthusiast, Rahul is also a big sports fan. And when cinema and sports come together, probably there's no one better to talk about it apart from Rahul. But today we are not going to talk about sports films. Today we will discuss two landmark international films which are celebrating 20 years. The first one, In the Mood for Love, directed by veteran film director Wong Kar-wai, is considered to be one of the finest films of this millennium. It's a romantic drama that focuses on a man and a woman whose spouses have an affair and who slowly start to develop feelings for each other. The second movie for today is Malena, directed by Italian director Giuseppe Tornatore. It's an erotic comedy drama in the background of the World War II about a young war widow who was the obsession of every man and envy of every woman in a sleepy village in Sicily. So I hope you will enjoy this discussion. Thank you, first of all, Rahul. Thank you so much for joining us today. I think this will be a riveting discussion. It's a real pleasure to have you with us.
It's a pleasure to be here. I'm always happy to discuss great films with fellow film lovers, and I hope to learn more about these films myself while talking to both of you.
First question to you about Malena, Rahul, is that we all know this, and this has been true, that Malena is a film that has fetched polarized reactions from the time of its release. Like Peter Bradshaw, one of our favorite movie critics, simply hated the film, while Peter Travers loves it. I know you were not very impressed when you watched it for the first time. So why was that the case? And has there been any change in your response to the film?
I think a lot of us watched Malena whenever we did watch it. At least I did. I think a lot of us watch it for the first time for all the wrong reasons, of course, because we are guys. And, we have raging hormones, and we hear stories about the most beautiful woman or actress in the world being in a film that, has a lot of explicit scenes. So, of course, like most red-blooded males, we all sort of really tune into the film from already coming from the direction of who we are, like as, gender-wise and hormones-wise. And because of that, your perception very early on gets colored as to whether it is a piece of art or whether it is, sort of really a piece of titillation or a film where the filmmaker has really lost sight of what he wanted to say, or maybe he's fallen prey to his own gaze. So, those things come later eventually. But the thing is, if you start watching it, or if your first viewing of the film is exactly from that gaze, then it's really very difficult to get back into why the film should be looked at as an independent piece of storytelling, or as a film that is coming from the director of Cinema Paradiso. So it's just one of those things that did not, of course I watched it for the first time, and but it never really adopted the identity of a film at that point of time. And of course, over the years, yes, I watched it and I've read a fair share about it. I've always been very interested in these polarizing views about Malena. And because, honestly, I've never had an absolute opinion about it. I've never had, a closing argument about things like this, whether the film is trying to do something or whether it's succeeding at it or not. But I've read a lot of reviews, and I did also notice that Roger Ebert did not like the film when he had reviewed it back then. And but I also understood why a film like that really not grows in stature, but becomes more dense in stature over time. Because, it's because of who we are right now and because of where the world is right now. Of course, a film like that would be virtually impossible to get made right now in 2021 without really escaping the sort of very ultra woke mood right now in the universe, and rightly so for all but I find it fascinating that a lot of our opinions about this film are informed by hindsight and informed by, sort of very retrospective analysis about this film, because I wish I had a definite opinion about whether I think it's wrong or right, whether I think it's, it's exploitative or not. But it's a complicated it's complicated, and that I think is still more interesting than having, saying that this is terrible, what the filmmaker did was terrible, or it is beautiful for that matter. So I always find it fascinating that every year my opinion sort of changes about the film.
So do you think that had it not been Monica Bellucci, it would have got different responses, or because it's she, a lot of us went ahead into the film with say, with a different, expectation itself, and that kind of overshadows the experience of the films, watching the film itself?
Yes and no, because obviously, because it's Monica Bellucci, we all go in with a very definite idea of what we want to see and why we are attracted to the physicality of the film. But at the same time, if not Monica Bellucci, then how do you go into a film about a boy who has who looks at a married woman a certain way? And we've seen films like this over the years, right?
Yeah,
We've seen a boy in love with an older woman, and we've seen how smutty it can become very fast. It can whether lines get blurred between the filmmaker looking at the actress and with the character looking at the woman. But again, there are justifications to why the film is the way it is. But at the same time, I feel like the counter arguments also hold true, which is why I find that Monica Bellucci being the face of the film is actually, for the sake of legacy, I feel like it really helps that she is who we are talking about, and she is who the filmmaker chose.
And what do you think about, this whole theme of objectification of woman, the way it's shown? The lady has hardly any dialogues across the whole film.
Yeah.
There's none. And when she's walking, everyone is watching, and it's kind of, an object of desire, walking across the street, across the film. And when there's a crisis, everyone jumps on her, and they take on her like anything. They have been waiting for doing this, as we are seeing in the world today. So what do you think about that objectification part? Or is it like that it still becomes a problem for the film?
I mean, I feel like it has reason to exist, in the sense, again, because it depends on how you're going to want to look at the film. Is it a story about a story of a boy, or is it a story of the woman? I mean, if it's a story of a boy, then sure, these the way the film is shot has reason to exist, because then it's the filmmaker's meta statement on how a lot of male filmmakers look at actresses in films that they cast. How a lot of female fantasy characters that or a lot of our fantasies we project onto the women in a film. So you can look at it as that if it is the story of a boy. You can give the filmmaker a benefit of the doubt. Of course, I don't totally agree with the way he's gone about it, especially with the more difficult scenes to watch later in the film where she's assaulted. But filmmaking is really about making a statement most of the time, and I don't feel like, and of course we see, and given the filmmaker's history, given his influences, that the film is about who we think it's about. It's not about the woman. So of course he has a very limited way of looking at the woman. He's hitting puberty, and he's hitting and unlike the rest of his friends who totally over sexualize her, he still has this sensitive part of him. But at the same time, you're a teenager, preteen, sort of unable to control your hormones. So I don't think it's exploitation on paper. But again, it comes down to the way it's shot, and it comes down to the way the filmmaker treated the film. And depending on who you are, and depending on when you watch it in your life, that will keep changing. Like, you cannot have a definite opinion about it. It's impossible. It just depends on whether you get immersed in or whether you sort of really make sense or try to attach what the filmmaker is trying to say with what he actually said. And sometimes it just works. When I was younger, of course, uh, Malina wasn't so much of a film to me, but of course over the years, I've started to appreciate it as a piece of cinema. But I wouldn't at the same time, really say that, oh wow, it's a masterpiece and it is misunderstood, and it is actually very beautiful, and it is actually the most controversial film, one of the most controversial films of our time. It really depends. I don't think the controversial, it sort of earns its controversial tag, because I've seen a lot more films over the years that are far more problematic. So I just feel like um, it's a very pretty film to watch most of the time, and that's something that I take away when you're making a film based in wartime Italy. When again, the history is very important here, because
Yeah.
it's against the backdrop of the World War, and that really sort of informs what happens to her, or informs even the boy's perception of her, and what happened to her husband. And and that you don't really know most of the time whether it is the boy thinking about her or whether it is actually her. And I find that nice in a way, because that is my interpretation of what I want to take away today. But yeah, I mean, again, like the film itself, I can't really say if it's exploitative or not.
Um, I think you talked about it a little bit, like interesting theme of the adolescence. And when we see somebody like the young Renato go through in this film, is something maybe all of us have gone through in some way or the other in our younger days. So would you say that is kind of a fair portrayal of a growth of an adolescent boy when he looks at somebody who is attractive and older like that?
It is. I mean, of course, the degree of what he sees is, up for debate, but which is, of course, the filmmaker's problem. But adolescence is, that's what it is, and it does unsettle people. It's bound to unsettle people. Like for example, children have really complicated feelings about sexuality and about sort of coming of age in that sense. They are not able to make sense of it most of the time. The parents treat it as a taboo topic, and nobody addresses it ever. So it's kind of the thing where, of course, if you're going to see a story about a child really in love with an object of everyone's affection, it's bound to be like that. I feel like there's a very thin line between whether the child perceives a woman to be just like that, whether he objectifies her in her head, or if or if she's just supposed to be like that by virtue of being in a film. So I just feel like I've never really had a problem with the gaze of the film, and I've that much I've understood, and that much I can really not criticize the film for, because it's self-defeating after a while. If you refuse to if you really refuse to look at if you really refuse to use the lens that the filmmaker has used most of the time, then you're missing the point of watching a film. And that happens quite a lot. Like I remember, not so much in a film as such, but I think I recently wrote an essay about my I think about like my mother. And I basically I noticed some of the comments, not like nobody had written to me per se, but I noticed there was a part of the essay where I was saying I was 12 in the essay. So where I was saying that I sort of nestled my head into a shoulder while riding behind her on the kinetic. And a lot of I noticed an entire thread about a bunch of women who were mothers themselves commenting, and some were of course moved by the essay, but there were a whole bunch of others who were absolutely creeped out by that particular description of a son about his mother, or about a moment with them. And I found that very intriguing, because that's where they're refusing to look at the moment through the lens of who the character is in the essay. They are looking at it through the 35-year-old who's written it, not the 12-year-old who's there in the essay. And I feel like so many people miss the point like that when it comes to films also. And Malina can be a classic example also. It's of course unsettling if you think there's a man who's made the film and a man who's using maybe a child as a surrogate for his own fantasies. But no, you have to at some point find a balance between whether you think it's not disingenuous, whether you think it's not for effect, it's not for shock value. And I don't think a lot of Malina was for shock value. Some moments are debatable, of course, but I feel like it became more infamous than it should have over the years.
I just wanted to talk about one of my favorite sequences of the film, and you tell me, Rahul, what's your take on that? He has this sequence where the father, Renato's father, he takes him to the brothel, and he has his first sexual intimacy or so, and there's a bombing happening at the same point of time. It's kind of manhood into different perspectives happening, and in the next sequence itself it's Malena being assaulted, and all the men surrounding, and they have nothing to do, including Renato, who has always dreamt of saving her. So that perspective of manhood, that contrast which comes one after the other really fascinated me. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that's a good favorite sequence to have in the film, because especially when it's not looked at in isolation, right? The father taking the son to a brothel and giving him his first sexual experience cannot be looked at in isolation, again, because it's shock value then. But as you said, what follows it is what gives perspective to this scene, because then what you realize is, then you realize the irony of it all, because the father's gaze of womanhood and of manhood, of masculinity, and how a man is supposed to have his first sexual experience, or how sex is in general. That exact gaze colors the next scene when she is assaulted. So it's people like his father, who are actually who the reason that Malena is really ends up the way she does, tarnished for most of the film. And that I find fascinating, because it's always the boy who has the more innocent worldview, and his father tries to make him a man, so to say, and it's the men that are the reason that where Malena ends up. And that boy, and for I always felt like in my head I always made up a story that Renato always tries to preserve his boyhood so that he can always feel that protective urge for Malena for the rest of his life. Whether he succeeds in that or not, of course, it depends on who's watching it. But I always feels like that protective urge that children do have towards mother figures, towards particular people of a particular age and generation. I always feel like that overrides the sexuality of a particular journey, and that's where you struggle with a film like Malena. You think in your head that did that instinct, or did this instinct really become the dominant instinct? And as I said, every year I have a new opinion about that.
Yeah. And there's this also very interesting commentary on courage, right? Like Malena coming back after the assault and everything, she coming back, and she still does not. It's not like in a lot of movies where there is a sermon or there's a big dialogue or something. She's like before, talking very less, and then there's this sequence where the first time Renato actually talks to her, maybe the courage he was lacking across the whole film, he's inspired by the courage to see Malena coming back, maybe. So
I actually, the couple of times I watched a film like in the last few years, I had my own theory about those scenes that, of course, the courage is a good point that, of course, Malena comes back. One way to look at it is that, she's come back with her dignity intact, in the sense she's, there's the husband, and there's a sort of sense of womanhood of how people look at women. And if they have a partner, of course, they look at her very differently. But if she's single, like she is throughout the film, then of course that's what happens in the film. So of course, in my head, to make maybe the film a little better in my head, I always had the theory that that didn't actually happen. Like for me, it was like just him trying to restore some sort of dignity to her by imagining her coming back, or imagining her being courageous enough to come back, and by extension him having the courage to talk to her. Of course, for me the end credits happened way before that. So yeah, that's something you want to believe in, the same way even Renato wants to believe in an idea of her towards the end of the film. And I guess that the fact that the viewer feels the urge to maybe think about the film like that is maybe a small sort of triumph for the film too, or the filmmaker.
Right.
I feel that so once what Rahul said and also what Arup talked about it, the scene where the father takes the child to the brothel. When you first time watch it at our age, that scene is so funny, right? It's like what's happening, or this is so much fun. Can never imagine anything like this happening anywhere near. And then when you rewatch it after a few years, and when you think about that idea of the manhood which the father has in its head, it is so sad that the manhood is being depicted in a way where a child has to be taken there and given his sexual experience like that without really understanding what it is all about, what manhood is all about. So that is one thing which really touched me when I watched it for the second time or the third time when I watched it after a few years after getting exposed to it, actually.
So this the way the director communicates here, it's loudish. There's a lot of set pieces and all of that.
Yeah.
It's also there in Cinema Paradiso, right? They're spitting up from the up stalls and all. So that works for you, Rahul, or is it like it works for Paradiso and not here?
No, that's what I was going to come to, actually. The one problem I have with the film is its genre fluidity, so to say, because the tone is a problem sometimes, because it belonged to Cinema Paradiso, because that was a film about films. And of course, then you can justify it in any meta way you want as a film fan. But in a film like this, I always felt like the director was not finding humor in the lives of the characters he was portraying. He was creating humor out of the film he was making. And that was the problem. That's always a big difference. That's always the big difference into with which delicate films like this need to walk the bridge of, because it's so easy to get it wrong. And that scene there where sort of the humor is forced upon the viewer rather than it's already there. If you think about it, the fact that a boy is being taken by his father, and of course it's going to be awkward, of course it's going to be very darkly unintentionally funny, and that entire lack of trust in the filmmaker's sense of story is very apparent in scenes like that, even though on paper it should exist, and on paper the next scene should exist also. It's just that humor that sort of really might have also pushed the film into controversial territory, because then you start to doubt the intentions of the filmmaker, and then you start to doubt the filmmaker's sort of certainty over his material, because you don't need to create moments in a film like this. They are there. You have a child, you have a beautiful woman, or at least from his eyes she's a beautiful woman. For all you know, she's a very ordinary woman, and we are only seeing his perception of her. And you have a town like that, you have the background of a war. Whether you like it or not, it's going to be very uncomfortably funny in many ways. But then, when you create situations like that, that's where the problem comes.
I think that's about it. And Rahul, we would like to thank you for your time and the way you talked about both these films. It was like watching them once again. The scenes passed through my eyes every time you talked about it, and it was such an entertaining plus such an I think educational experience for us, and of course I'm sure for our viewers as well. It's going to be a great video. Thank you so much, Rahul. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, and thanks for letting me talk about the film.
Thank you so much, Rahul.
Thanks.